Rachel Ramcho.
And I'm Roma Patel.
And together we're makers of imaginary worlds. What we really try to do at Makers is create gorgeous, immersive, tactile experiences for children aged between 0 and 5. So we look at engaging all the senses: sight, sound, tactile materials, really to create experiences that are quite out of the ordinary. And we're really hoping to bring a little bit of this into your homes.
Yeah, so our subject today is really about sensory story spaces that you can create using different materials that you have at home, and create a space where you include the sort of sensory storytelling within your space. So for example, at Makers we can't really use taste in our installations.
No.
That's pretty difficult to add taste in. So thinking about taste, you can have an experience in, I don't know, a secret garden with lots of different fruits or vegetables that are hidden, or a picnic that you can create in your living room or bedroom or at the park.
Or you could be adventuring around the house and find little fruits that you can smell and taste.
So I think we are looking at using different types of materials. So when we think about, I think the visual sense, we think about light.
I think using a lot of blankets and then also a lot of light silk fabrics to create these kind of den spaces, and then adding maybe fairy lights or a little spotlight, and it just creates a bit of magic, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also with lights, even with your phone, actually, the light in your phone, you can create shadow spot spaces with just a plain sheet. Really.
And do some shadow puppets,
or on the wall,
or little finger shadows.
Yeah, so we found that just switching on a light can make something really magical. And this kind of visual senses is like, going into a really beautiful garden with lots of different maybe colors and textures. Really, especially where the textures and the fabric might be different types. Some fabrics materials make a lot of sound, and others just you love touching them.
Those lovely soft ones. I love them. A big soft blanket.
Yes.
Can't get enough.
So the other thing we use other than the senses, actually, when we're designing, we found that looking at children's play patterns, which are sometimes called schemas, that children experience in their everyday lives. You might have noticed it sometimes when a child likes going round and round. That's the rotation schema. And there are other things with the child in terms of round and round. A washing machine.
Watching the washing machine spin around and around and around. And another of my favourites is the dropping of the food onto the floor.
And that's trajectory, actually.
And you're thinking, how many times do I have to do this?
So if a child really likes those things, think about, do you drop feathers down on them?
Oh, lovely.
Or even cutting tiny bits of paper.
Soft, silky
scarves on. So there's all these sort of schemas can help us kind of begin to tell stories, and we often use them in this way. When we think about things like containers, children like putting things in containers all the time.
You can go on adventures collecting things and then look at them afterwards and kind of make a story from what you've collected and go back on where you've been, what you've done.
And there's another one we often use, actually, is positioning, where children like things to position things in lines, and we often like where we include things like stepping stones in our design.
The stepping stones are always very popular, being able to jump from one to the other.
They kind of also like in between spaces. So if you want to join your living room maybe with your kitchen, you can
join it with the stepping stones.
And then with the stepping stones you can add all different types of fabric, noisy fabrics and
tactile fabrics.
And then walk on it barefooted.
Oh, yes.
Or for the little babies, sometimes they like crawling and really touching the fabrics, and sound actually. Even putting on some music on your phone also can help create your kind of story spaces as well. So so a lot of the spaces we've created that you'll see in the video is different types of spaces. We've used umbrellas.
Yeah, we've used cardboard boxes, and
Yeah.
they've been very versatile. You can do many things. You can get in them, you can build them up, you can cut them up into puppets and things.
You can make holes in them.
You can make holes in them.
You can also put lights in them.
Yeah.
And we found that umbrellas are really great. You can start a story with walking with your umbrella, so you can have a walking story.
Just lovely.
And so today I think also we found that very young children like stories that kind of everyday life things, like going shopping.
Absolutely. Stories about family, people they know.
Yes.
Oh, I think you were telling me about shopping earlier.
Yes. Yeah, my daughter, we would, when she was very young, she would love shopping, and so we would set up all her toys on a table. Then she would be at the back of the table, because she always liked to be the shopkeeper. I have to be the shopper. And then I would come in, and the story was really a birthday party I'm arranging for my child. And she's this age, and she needs to tell me what kind of toys I can buy. And so she would play with all the toys all the time. And so she's playing with all the toys, and we are shopping, and we are talking about the birthday party and what would be in it. And then sometimes we then move from the birthday party to a cafe, and she always wanted to be the chef.
She's always in charge.
I know, it was a 5-star cafe.
And I think that's something, listening to your child and letting them lead, asking them, where are we going today?
Yeah.
What's happening on this adventure?
Yeah, because the stories could be this little, and you might think in your head sometimes the story starts in some way. The story could start in any way and can move anywhere.
And I think that's another thing to consider, is that you don't have to set out a particular time for telling stories. It can be done while you're together in the kitchen chopping vegetables, or it can be done at bath time, or it can be done if you have to walk to the shops. Maybe that's an adventure in itself.
Yeah. And then children like reliving things, so they can't be repeating things all the time. So changing the way you do the shopping might be a little bit different in each adventure, and having a different space creating could then help you as an adult as well. But when they repeat, you have a different, and sometimes just creating a magical spaces. And when they maybe come home from nursery, maybe if they're older, they suddenly have this wonderful space.
Have a new space.
Yeah.
Bit of magic is brought into their world.
Indeed. So we hope that you can make some magic.